What's up, Wang Gang? This is Bruce Wang back at it with another podcast. So this is officially the second podcast for the channel, plus some extra video content for you guys. In today's video, we're going to be going over some of the questions that I've been asked on Instagram. So 2 days ago, I asked everybody for some content ideas, some questions that, they were interested in me answering. And in today's video, I'll be going over basically all of them that I find interesting. And I'm gonna answer them to the best of my ability. And let's jump right into it. So if you guys haven't seen my latest video of my dividend investing portfolio, go check that out. I give you guys the 10 most safest stocks in my portfolio. And that is a great way to start investing in the stock market, I believe. And let me give you a quick update. So almost $45,000 my portfolio value. Just checking it on Simply Safe Dividends right here. Annual income is so close to being $2,000 per year. So I think it'll just take another week or so, maybe 2 weeks until I reach that point. So moving on into Instagram, if you guys haven't followed me there yet, go follow me at Bruce Wang with 3 N's. There's been a bunch of fake Bruce Wang accounts that's popping up. And if you guys could help me report them, that would be great. All right, so let's take this first question from Kev Kuj. He's asking about my YouTube setup, my tips for starting a YouTube channel in 2020. This is something that I used to make videos about, but recently I haven't been making a lot of videos about creating content on YouTube and stuff like that because I feel like I'm not the greatest person to give these answers, but for me, my setup, it took me years and years to create, all this equipment and stuff. You don't really need everything that I have. Make sure you just get your phone and just start. I realized that after about 100 YouTube videos, that's where I started to find a rhythm. It took me 100 videos. Your first videos are going to be bad, so just get them straight out of the way. You don't even need to show your face in a lot of them, but I think that showing your face is probably the best way to go about it. If not, just start a podcast. So that is my main #1 tip for starting a YouTube channel. I think in the future, social media isn't going anywhere. It's going to be here for good. So starting a YouTube channel and just brand awareness and all that stuff, it's not going to hurt you. I think it's more going to help you unless you do really stupid stuff. Most likely you will not do something illegal, but if you're planning to, don't get it in recording and don't get it on videotape. So this is a grocery store question. How much you make from the grocery store you own? This is asked by Sam. Well, buddy, I've been getting a lot of grocery store questions recently because I started to post a little bit more of that on Instagram. But basically, I do not own a grocery store. I help manage a grocery store. That is part of my job as a property manager. That is one of the properties that is in my facility. That is my responsibility. And over this quarantine, 1 month of quarantine, that is where I've been doing most of my work. I'm still making YouTube videos. I'm still checking up on my rental properties every week or so. At the grocery store, I'm mainly doing a lot of manual labor work, painting, fixing up flooring tiles, fixing up lighting, throwing away garbage and stuff like that. There's a lot of little stuff that I don't want to hire contractors to come in or day workers to come in and do the work. There's something that I can do. I have a lot of time on my hands recently, and it's not easy, but it does pay the bills. Starting a grocery store business is no joke. I used to work, as a kid at my family's supermarket, bagging groceries and doing a lot of cashiering, stuff like that. And especially in today's climate where there's this coronavirus going on and people can't afford masks walking around, it's pretty scary. So yeah, there's a lot of advantages and disadvantages, and I really have to consider if I'm going to pull the trigger on this or not. So let me know if you guys have any more grocery store questions down below. But I'm still leaning towards investing in a grocery store business. All right, so Cafu23 asked me a question about first time investing in real estate. I've been in the real estate game for a pretty long time. I've been taking care of rental properties on and off for a few years, and it's not that difficult, all right? Even during this coronavirus time, it's not that bad, especially if you have your whole entire property paid off. When it comes to buying your first property, the hardest part is saving up enough cash to put down on a down payment. Other than that, everything else you can literally learn on the way. Finding tenants, doing the rehab, you can just hire somebody. You can hire someone to do most of the work, but and I do think hiring people to do most of the work in the beginning is a good idea if you have the cash for it. And if you have the know-how, the searching on YouTube to find how to do little jobs, you can do a lot of it and save a lot of the money yourself. Watch my playlist on the Bruce Wang channel so you can see the start to finish of my second rental property. I'm gonna do a recap on that. I'm gonna probably make a video recapping the entire process, because it's been basically 1 year now since I bought that property, rehabbed it, rented out, and I've been collecting rents since October. And so far so good. There's only been a few problems that one of my tenants been having with just like minor repairs, like their garbage cart broke the other week because the trash guy was like throwing it around on the truck and the wheels came off. Little stuff like that is really easy for me to repair. You know, just go online, fill out a form, or just make a phone call, and a lot of that will just fix itself within a week or two. So if it's your first time investing in real estate, what I recommend you guys to do is reach out your local real estate agents, and those guys literally should know how to get you a house. That is their main job, is to sell you a house. Don't find a newbie real estate agent that just got their license. Make sure you find someone with like 5 to 10 years of experience. You know, they know what banks to go to. They know contractors. They know, management companies. They should know all of the people within the area. Given every single location, there's only a handful of companies that, manage and repair everything, especially if you live in a small town. And if you live in a bigger town, then you will most likely have a, larger pool of people to choose from to do the work for you. Maku is asking, what's the worst topping to put on a pizza? I would have to go with anchovies. I've never had anchovies on a pizza, and I've seen some people eat it, but, that's just not for me. The next question is from KennaBeast85. So I've talked to this guy for a while now, and he's a pretty cool dude. Go check out his page if you're interested in cannabis and his life in general. He lives a pretty interesting life. So thoughts on where the market will move, thesis behind your beliefs, percentage of sideline cash. All right, so this is a 3-part question. First, where will the markets move? Right now, we're basically in a global recession, I believe. I also believe that the markets are going to be very volatile for the next maybe year plus. There's just so much uncertainty with the Rona and how it's going to affect the economy. And, that is good and bad for a lot of people. I feel really bad for the people who've lost their job, lost their main source of income. Those guys will be hit the hardest, and those guys will, have the most difficult time, getting back on their feet. The people that have been hoarding cash for over the last few years, getting ready for the recession, those guys will have an easier time, and there's going to be a lot of buying opportunities. For me specifically, I've been sitting on a lot of cash because I was planning to buy another rental property, and again, like I said, I'm trying to buy a grocery store, so I've been saving up cash like heavy for a long time. I know you guys see me spend invest a lot of money in the stock market every single week, but most of my money that I generate is going into savings, going into reinvesting into rental properties. So that's what I'm doing specifically. I don't know how much percentage I'm sidelined in cash, but it's a large percentage sidelined in cash. So the next question is coming from Marcin W. Design. How to search properties to buy. Housing market is said to go down. Prices might get attractive. When I hear questions like this, I basically think that this guy is a newbie when it comes to investing in real estate. but I'll try to answer as best as I can. When it comes for me specifically, I know exactly the type of property that I want. It's a rental property, most likely a 2-family to 3-family within my local area, and you should know what you want to buy before you go to a real estate agent. So this is, I'm connecting this back to my other real estate question. I think the easiest way to get into real estate is to do something that is called house hacking. You buy a duplex, you live in one unit and you rent out the other. And typically, though, the rent will cover a lot of the mortgage and will cover maybe some expenses as well. So in that scenario, you're paying down the mortgage, your renter is paying down the mortgage, helping you pay down that mortgage on that property, and you're basically going to be living for free, or maybe even close to free. So search up house hacking. I probably have 1 or 2 videos about that in my YouTube catalog on my other channel as well. And when it comes to the housing market, I think that there's going to be some or a lot of properties that's going to be coming back onto the market because some borrowers that haven't been really taking care of their finances and that are heavy in debt, I think those guys might fall out of their property. And so I'm going to be ready to pick up a lot of those properties if they do come onto the market. So hopefully there's a lot of people out there that are competing with me that are not in control of their finances, and I'm able to pick up some properties for the cheap. All right, so this next question is by Alvaro 10 Lopez. The oil price crack would be a good topic. Maybe suggest some stocks within the sector to invest in. When it comes to the oil prices, I talked about this in my last video as well, so go check that out if you haven't seen it. But basically, I'll sum it up. Supply and demand is the only reason why the oil prices has basically crashed. No one's traveling, everybody is staying at home. And I think that is the main driving force when it comes to why the oil price crashed. I believe that this is going to be very temporary. So if you guys want to pick up some oil ETFs, I think that is probably the #1 way to go. And if you want to do individual stock picking, make sure you pick the biggest oil companies in America. Maybe ExxonMobil, Chevron. Those are 2 companies that I'm invested in, and I'm continuing to invest in every single week. All right, so the next question is, how do I find good tenants for rentals? So one thing that I'm pretty confident in recently is that I pick good tenants. So I've gone through 5 tenants already, and only one of them is bad. So I have an 80% chance in picking up a good tenant. And I believe that most people are going to be good tenants. And when there is a bad tenant that is trying to apply for your rental property, it's very easy to spot them. So some of the requirements that I have is that you have to have at least a 700 credit score. Your credit score is one of the biggest reasons. It's your reputation, basically. It's, do you pay back your debts? And if you don't, then you're going to have a credit score lower than 700. But if you do, then your credit score most likely is going to be above 700. So that's one factor that I use, and it's pretty important to me. The second one is make sure they have 3 times the rent. So for example, if I'm charging $1,500 for the rent every single month, they have to make at least $4,500 a month from their job and side incomes and all that stuff. And that is a pretty good metric as well. Sometimes you can go a little bit lower if you're kind of more lenient, and sometimes people even do more than that. But I think 3 times the monthly rent is a good gauge. So basically that means, they have enough money to pay for rent, they have enough money to pay for utilities, food, and all the other stuff, and they have another portion of their income can go into savings and all the other miscellaneous stuff in their life. 3 times the rent is my second major factor when it comes to finding good tenants. And the third one would probably be just tenant screening, just looking at them, seeing how they dress. Are they more well put together, or do they look sloppy? You kind of have to have a little bit of a gut feeling. You might even want to check their car. You might want to meet them up at the place that they're renting right now to see if their units are in good condition. Those are just some tips that I've learned along the way. If it's your first time, I think that you should probably go with a real estate agent that specializes in leasing. And ask them a lot of questions. And after maybe the second time around, you can probably do it yourself. So, there's also a lot of discrimination laws and stuff like that. So you have to really make sure you do not discriminate to any classes, like racially, ageism. Those are just some of the stuff, Section 8 and stuff like that. That is pretty important as well, because you do not want to get sued. This is where I'm going to leave off of today's video. I didn't think that this is going to be like a 101 real estate investing video type podcast, but what are you going to do if your tenant can't pay rent? So, we are in trying times right now, unprecedented what's going to happen within the next few months. But basically, if my tenant cannot pay rent, I'm going to try to work with them as best as I can. So getting to the main point here, I am running a business when it comes to my rental properties. And if my tenant cannot pay the rent for, an extended period of time, then I have to evict them. I have to put in tenants that can pay rent. And, that is the sad truth. But I got to pay my bills. I got to pay my mortgage and all that. So when you run a business, you have to be a little bit cutthroat when it comes to your investments. And that is where I'm going to leave off today's podcast, today's video podcast. And hopefully you guys found some helpful information in there. If you guys want to see more videos from me, more podcasts, go check out these videos here. Subscribe if you haven't. Drop me a like. Hit that notification. Go comment down below what content ideas or what questions you have for me. And I'm basically reading all of them right now because I don't get that many comments. Hit me up on Instagram if you haven't already. Go follow me on the Bruce Wang channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Thank you, and see you later.